Hi, everybody. It's Karon Thackston with Marketing Words. So glad you could join us today. I have Dan Meadors with the Wholesale Formula with me today, and we're just going to have a little chat and figure out some stuff, talk to Dan and find out what he did before his life with Amazon and then how he got into Amazon and pick his brain about some of the massive success that he has experienced. And hopefully that will translate into some things that you can walk away with and use immediately to help improve your Amazon business. So Dan, tell me, what did you do? Give me a little bit of your backstory. What did you do before you got on Amazon, and how did you find out about it?
For sure. I actually worked for a toy and game company. It's one of the small companies here. I think I was one of the 13th employee there. And it's an e-commerce based company. And that's what really got me excited about e-commerce. When I graduated college, I was originally going to go to law school. Yeah. But I had started working for this company, and I fell in love with the concept of e-commerce. It wasn't an Amazon business, but it was just the way that you can have customers in different parts of the world and be able to contact those customers. It was just, that was an intriguing thing to me. So whenever we started our Amazon business, me and Eric, we started it as a hobby because it was just, we thought it would be fun and we had heard about it and thought it was really cool. But it was a hobby that we immediately was able to latch onto because he came from that same company as well. So he had a passion for e-commerce too. And Amazon, I think, really just kind of helps facilitate making business possible for small businesses and entrepreneurs.
Yep, definitely. So did they lose both of you at the same time?
We actually did. We started on Amazon. We started on Amazon in it was mid 2011 ish. Yeah. And we had a $600 credit card that we were just going around and buying stuff from Walmarts and Targets and Kmarts and stuff. And by the end of quarter 4, we saw how powerful Amazon could be. Yeah. I mean, the things we were selling, the velocity that we were selling stuff. And just the random stuff that we were selling was like, gosh, it just opened our eyes to what's really possible. Yes. So we decided to go full time with our business in January of 2012.
Oh, wow. So not much longer. Yeah. And how long had you been at the previous company, the e-com company?
About 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. And what did your wife say about that?
Now my wife was less excited about it. It was funny because, she saw this as a hobby that me and Eric were doing on the side, just going around and buying stuff. And then when I came home and I had that serious conversation with her that, I was leaving my job. I wasn't very happy and fulfilled. And I was so excited about the Amazon thing that it was, it wasn't the job. That was one of the things is like looking back, the job I left was amazing. Like, it paid well. The people were fantastic. I learned a lot while I was there. Got to travel, but I think some people just have that like entrepreneurial bug and they just want to do it for themselves. And even though it's funny, like I took a giant pay cut when we started our company. I started working significantly more hours, but it was worth it. Like it was so fulfilling because we were able to just, you get to watch things grow and be a part of that growth. So it had that same feeling as when I first started with that company, and it was really exciting for us. So
that's so cool. Now, tell the truth. Did you come home and tell your wife you were quitting your job, or did you ask her if you could?
No, I actually went about it a way I definitely would never advise anybody to do it. I quit and then told her. I knew having that conversation. Really? Yes. I knew having that conversation beforehand, I probably wouldn't have quit. And so I went in, I quit. I probably could have gotten it. I could have probably had a take back or whatever, but I was pretty happy. And she was, she wasn't happy, but she's always really believed in me and kind of supported me in what we do.
I don't even know what my reaction to that would have been. I'm glad it worked out well for you.
Right. It could have. Now, I'll be honest with you. It could have worked out significantly worse. But
yep. Oh my
it's
gosh,
been awesome.
So you start out with a credit card and you're shopping around and filling your basket. Obviously, you're doing arbitrage at that point. So how do you merge from maxing out a $600 credit card and filling up shopping carts to doing wholesale, which I think is the majority of your business now?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I can go ahead and tell you that for us, that transition wasn't easy because when I did start with the company, we were fairly limited on capital. Like while I had, I personally had savings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
My wife was really not excited about me starting my own company, and she was like, well, you're going to have to do it with the money you guys have. So I didn't get to use our savings and stuff like that.
Right. Well, you got kids too, right?
Yeah, I have 2 kids. Eric has 4 kids. Yeah. But it did work out. It just took a while. That's the thing about it. I feel like people, whenever they start their business, they're often not patient enough and don't let it grow. So that was the first part of the first part of that process for us was just letting it grow. And before we even got started on wholesale, like that was always the direction for us, was either wholesale or private label.
Oh, okay.
And what we wanted to do, but we really did. We had to just build our capital the old-fashioned way with a lot of hard work and blood, sweat, and tears. But it took us about 2.5 years of doing arbitrage. And that's the thing is I still think arbitrage is a very, very profitable model. Like I think anybody can do it. And I think I really do. I mean, I think anybody that will hear this webinar can do arbitrage and be successful at it. It really is just how hard you want to work kind of thing.
Yeah.
And luckily for us, I mean, failure wasn't an option for us. I mean, we both have families. I took, I left a really, really good job, and Eric did too. So it was, and that was the thing. Whenever you leave an awesome job or something you love, like you don't want it to be a step down, right? Like you don't want it to be strictly worse. So failure for us wasn't an option. I mean, it's always been, we've really tried to kind of figure out how to make things work and been really diligent and working hard. So it took, like I said, it took about 2.5 years of us shopping. I think the first year we did about $850,000 in sales in 2012 and made, we made a really good profit from that.
Wow. You did way better than me. My first year in business was in 1999. I made $38.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's getting started. I mean, that's the thing is you got to be patient.
Yeah.
And then our second year, we did almost $1 million in sales.
Wow.
With arbitrage. But that was that was kind of the big thing for us is we realized, that second year we worked harder than we did the first year, which was insane.
Yeah.
We were on the road constantly because, Kentucky's not like a hub of commerce. There's not to go to Target, I have to drive an hour and a half.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. And that's in either direction, north or south. Like, the closest one is an hour and a half in either direction. Okay. I mean, we just don't have a lot of stores and things. So me and Eric were driving literally all around. Like we would go to New York. We would drive down to Florida all the time. And we would be on the road, come back, and it was just exhausting. Like, we were making great money, but that was the point is that's what really kicked our butt in gear to make the transition to wholesale was to be able to be home more and be with our families more, because that's ultimately why we wanted to be entrepreneurs in the first place, right? Exactly. That freedom that you can just spend time with your family, spend time, and really invest in that part of your life. But we had kind of dug ourselves into that trap of working, 60 and 70 hour weeks.
Yeah, I still have scars from those handcuffs myself. And you got to figure out how to work it so that you don't end up getting buried by and resenting your business. So then how hard was it? Well, let me ask you this. What made you think about wholesale? And then how hard was it to get those first couple of wholesale accounts?
Well, as far as thinking about wholesale, for us, like I said, from the start, I mean, we always had the intention of doing wholesale or private label because we felt like it was more, it definitely had a bigger scalability to it. Right. Like when you talk about scaling arbitrage, like, can it be scaled? Absolutely. Like there's some great guys out there that are doing some killer stuff right now with it. Like, your Harvey Specters and those guys are just crushing it with retail arbitrage, and they've scaled it. But the problem for us is when you think intrinsically about scaling, it was you are literally having to pay for someone's hours. Like, and that their hours are direct correlation to your profits.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, dollars for time kind of scenario. Whereas with wholesale or private label, like there's a lot of upfront work in setting up an account or developing a relationship or developing a product or what have you. But once you get that upfront work, you get to see residuals on that work for quite a while. And that was our goal is we wanted to see more, but we didn't mind the upfront work because we knew we could build systems to incorporate and help facilitate those processes. But we wanted to build residuals into our model. Like we did, I don't want to always be hunting for my next dollar. And that was the freedom that wholesaler or private label was going to give us. So it was funny. Like we tried both, and we've definitely had some level of success with both. Like we had one really, really all-star product in private label, and I think it was in 2015, and did $250,000 in sales on that product in about 3 months or 4 months, and it was really, really good. But that was the ultimate problem for us with private label, and why we kind of went wholesale was that the other 3 products we developed didn't do quite as good. And we invest in whenever you develop these products, like the upfront cost and investment into a product is so high. Like you have that first run of product, which is, typically a lot of units. You do, a lot of people do giveaways or launches or whatever, however you choose to do it to get that initial burst of traffic and spike it. And it's just, that's an expensive process. The PPC required to follow up is also expensive. And it's not just expensive. It's skill intensive. Like the people you need to run a private label business are just typically have to be a higher caliber employee than it would take to run a wholesale business. Yeah. And that, we were both concurrently doing, we were doing wholesale and private label, and we were spending more time on private label and making less money. Mm-hmm. And that was ultimately why we decided to start scaling wholesale. And that's not, I'm not saying that private label is like an inferior in any way. I'm just saying as far as for us, it was easier for us to scale wholesale, and it made a lot more sense for us to start scaling that way.
Now, you mentioned something a minute ago that other sellers may do this, but I haven't heard any other Amazon sellers use the same word that you used just a minute or two ago, and that was systems. We knew we could develop systems. Now, when you have a business like mine that is about 50% digital training products that are delivered automatically, and you have about 50% that's service-based, it is essential to develop systems for working with a team, for keeping the services going, for making sure that you get everything when you launch a digital product and the delivery and all this other stuff like that. Tell me about systems when it comes to running a wholesale Amazon business.
I think, well, a lot of people hear the word systems and they get intimidated, right? They think it's some big complex
systems are a lifesaver
process, but it's really not. For us, it's just about having repeatable processes that people understand. And, it can be incredibly simple. Like, a system would be the way that I find product, the way that I find the products that we want to sell, for example. And what we've done is we've just tried to cultivate the best possible ways to do that and develop that as a teachable system for our employees. And ultimately, that's been kind of the litmus test for the wholesale formula is our own business. It's the wholesale formula is what works in our business. So when I said systems originally, that's what I was talking about is the ability, otherwise it's you have one of two things, right? In business, you have a talent-based business, which means you have really talented people that do incredible stuff, or you have a systems-based business. And what the difference is with a talent-based business, if that talented person leaves, dies, like gets burnt out, whatever, you have a serious hole in your business, almost to the point of it can be crippling, and that's what we didn't want with a systems-based business. There may be a small transition period, but what you're doing is you're just plugging somebody into a role. So, a lot of developing systems for us was trying to boil down the things that we were already doing and making them routine. or to the point that anyone could do it. Like everything in our business, we try to get it to the point that a 6-year-old could do it.
Yep. And while systems, you used another word I like, routine. Systems are not automated, but it's the next best thing to having something that could be automated. It's routine. Like you said, with checklists and blueprints of what to do and when to do it and how to do it, so that if I break a leg and I'm going to be out for 12 weeks, you can get somebody else to come in. If I leave and go do something else, you can put somebody else in that hole and you're right back up again because you've got those systems in place. We use those all the time at Marketing Words. And I've never heard anybody, like I said, use it with an Amazon business. I'm sure others must do that because it's just the common sense way to shave a lot of time out of those manual processes that have to be done. But good on you. I'm glad we got to work that in. So tell me, you talked about all of your successes, and those are always awesome to hear. But a lot of people actually find a good bit of inspiration and motivation by hearing about failures. So tell me sometime that you did something in your business and it absolutely flatlined and how you recovered from that.
For sure. Well, this is awkward because this is like harder for me than for most people because of just our personality. And if you ask Eric this question, it was great. Like the time we'd done an interview in the past where Eric got asked this question. I was like, great, I'm going to listen to how he answers it because it's because I always feel like my answer is terrible. And it's I'll talk to you about growth points. Yep. Things that we use to grow. But as far as failures, like. I don't dwell on failures and I don't think about things as failures. It's either a lesson or it was just a mistake in general. And if it was a mistake, I try not to repeat it. If it's a lesson, I just try to use that as a growth opportunity.
Right.
So, as far as like crippling failures, I don't think we've ever had any. Like we've definitely had our fair share of hardships, but we're always very progressive and proactive and trying to figure out problems, to make life better in general moving forward. Yep. You'd asked the question earlier, and I'll jump back in. I'll like tie it in. You'd asked, what was it like starting to set up our first few wholesale accounts?
Yes.
And I would call it a mixed bag. Like, that's one of the things, and that's ultimately like what led to the wholesale formula existing was whenever we would reach out to those initial accounts, there was either one of two answers, right? And it was yes, like snap yes, we would love to sell product to you, or no, we're not interested at all. And you think those snap yeses are great, and then but that's the problem, and I think that's where a lot of people really struggle with wholesale. They focus on the companies that want to work with everybody. Now, whenever you intrinsically look at those products, like what you see over time is the more competition that land on those products, the worse those products get, price declines, and you see you always hear the traditional race to the bottom, right?
Right.
But I promise, like if you take a look at your deep dive into your business and you look at the products that did that dive, it is always going to be those accounts that just said, yeah, man, we'd love to sell to you. And it's because there's nothing special when they tell you that. They're not looking at Karon as a human and being like, oh, Karon's great. No, they're just looking at you like a pocketbook. Yeah. You're just another stack of dollars to them. And that's what they're doing. And they're just trying to push out as much product as possible. Now, when you get told no, so initially we got accepted by a lot of people. We made a lot of really bad buys, particularly when we went to the ASD show and just, didn't really have a clue what we were doing. And it just didn't work out well. I mean, we spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on product that just got crushed. By the time we actually got the product, it was all not profitable. And it makes you have that like sick feeling, right? It's just like, God, this is awful.
Now, what am I going to do with all this stuff?
Exactly. That was right. Exactly. It's like, what am I going to do with all this stuff? Luckily, and I bought one closeout that was a nightmare. Like it was so good when we were at the show. Like we looked at this product, it looked great. And I think this was like one of our biggest, like really mess ups. And we bought what we thought was the whole closeout. And, we were really naive at the time, and it was like $20,000, which was almost all the dollars that we had at the time.
Yeah.
We get it. And when we received it, the product was already selling for less than when we bought it. And it was just like, God, what happened? I thought we bought it all. Like, how is this possible? So we contacted some other people, and they were like, yeah, you guys bought like a third of it. And the rest of it went to other Amazon sellers, and they got better pricing, and it's just like, God Almighty. And luckily, and this is where I really learned about like kind of the true power of relationships, right?
Yeah.
Was I reached out. I started reaching out to people I knew in that space, like the kind of the liquidation space and stuff, and I was able to work out a deal where I traded that product for other bad products, but I just didn't have as much of that bad product. So it's like, instead of having 5,000 units of this terrible product, I would have 10 units of that, 50 units of this, 30 units of that, which doesn't sound good, but it lets me at least sell through faster, right? Like I'm not trying to sell all 2,000 of my crappy product.
Yeah.
So that was like, that was a real turning point for us, and really kind of showed us the value of working with other sellers. And even though, I think it gave us the best of a bad situation.
That's pretty smart. I don't know that I would have thought to do that, but
well, it was for us at the time. It was either that or bankruptcy. So like, because that was literally every dollar we had. I don't know if we'd have been bankrupt or not, but it was terrifying.
Wow. That's just, I tell you what. So you get some accounts.
We get a bunch of bad accounts. Like that was the problem. So we get a bunch of bad accounts. And I remember talking to Eric, and it was just like, how does anybody ever make money in this space? Like, I have no idea. This is a nightmare. Like every product we get looks good, then it's garbage. And it just was it seemed, not only was it a money trap, it was a time trap. Like, because we were investing hours and hours and hours finding these products and finding these suppliers and stuff, and it was just a nightmare. And it almost got us to the point of not wanting to do wholesale. And I remember the day we kind of, it's like the light bulb moment, right? It was the day the light bulb went off, and I was sitting there talking to Eric, and I was like, man, like I have no idea how these people make money doing this, and it sucks so bad because like we just get these gigantic catalogs of products, and we go through it, and we find one or two products, and then those products just suck after a week or 2 weeks or a month or whatever. I wish we could just find an awesome product and carry that one. I don't want to be looking through catalogs. I want to be looking through products, and that was it for us. That was that was kind of like the light bulb moment of we're just doing it the wrong way.
That's what I refer to as, because you and I have talked about this part before, the backwards wholesale method.
Yes, ma'am.
You were doing it in reverse of what everybody else was doing it.
Right.
And that was the ticket.
Right. Traditionally, and it sounds simple, right? It sounds simple to find awesome products and then go find who makes them. I definitely wouldn't call it revolutionary, but it was definitely backwards logic versus everything we were being told, everything that we saw from visiting shows and searching for wholesale and all the other stuff is, all the other the trainings and stuff that existed at the time, all focused around like go find these suppliers and just see what they got. And it was just, that's an awful model. It's an awful way to try to run your business. It's effective. What it is wholesale arbitrage. Like it's the same as retail arbitrage. You're doing it in a different quantity.
Never thought about that.
And so what we did is our focus changed right there, right? Like it was, okay, so now we know that we need to go backwards, right? We need to find the products and then go find those suppliers. But how are we going to make them want to work with us? Like that's the next question, right? All those people are saying no. Like whenever you talk to these general wholesalers, these distributors, they're like, yeah, man, we'll approve it. We'll sell you anything you want. Like here's our discounts. And there you go. But whenever we reach out to a lot of these brands, they'd be like, no way, man. Like we already have enough representation. Like,
yeah.
And it's like, what? You don't want my money? Like, I literally just want to hand you dollars right now and you don't want them? And it was that was the first thing. But then what we realized was that it was, why are they not selling to us? And it was because they've either had a terrible experience or they don't know about Amazon, right? They just don't know anything about the process. So our focus became, how can we help these people? Like, how can we either help them understand Amazon or how can we actually be a positive experience for them, right?
Yep.
And how can we help their brand? And when we started thinking about it like that, it's surprising how many people want to work with you when you just want to help them. Like it's pretty. It was daylight and dark. Like it was funny because we're going there trying to spend money, and they don't want it, and they don't want to talk to us or work with us. When I go there offering to help them, they're like, "Oh yeah, man, we would love your help." Jeez, oh Pete, like we don't understand any of this stuff. And that was our ticket in. Like that was whenever we realized that, there's two ways to go about business. Like you can build business around money, and that's what you'll always be, right? You're always going to be, the value of your business is always going to be based around the size of your order. And I'm never going to compete. I'm not Walmart. I'm not Amazon. Like I'm not these, I'm not e-tails. Like I'm not these giant sellers that do millions and hundreds of millions of dollars a year in sales. Like I'm not going to do that for the foreseeable future. So trying to buy like one of these companies just doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't make sense for me to try to compete with them because they already have all that advantage. Instead, like where can we compete? And it was on service, right? Like I can make the few people that I work with, I can make their life so much better that they suggest me to their friends. And that was our goal.
Cool. And you've done an awesome job. And this is not just for you, but you have a phenomenal blog that has all kinds of free, very detailed, not difficult, but specific and systematically laid out information about all sorts of topics related to wholesale and other things that are Amazon related. I have spent a good deal of time on your blog because the information is much higher quality than you find on a lot of other Amazon blogs. Tell us where the blog is.
It's thewholesaleformula.com is our website. And then you can just click on blog or thewholesaleformula.com/blog.
Right. And if you want to go there, I'm talking about with images and screenshots and whatnot, specific steps that you took to do this, that, or the other thing, ideas and suggestions and whatnot. It's absolutely awesome. And then you also have a full-blown course, as we can see in your backdrop, the Wholesale Formula course. And tell me what's in the course. What would somebody get if they wanted to take your course? For sure.
In terms of I'll talk about our blog a little bit too, because we are really proud of our blog.
You did a great job.
Instead of trying to do like a mountain of articles, like we just try to make our articles really good and really focused on very singular topics. And we believe that's, I believe when somebody wants help with trying to understand how to be ungated, they don't want to learn about sales velocity. They literally want to understand how to be ungated. So that's the way we wrote our blog, is we try to be incredibly detailed about very specific subjects. And it's, that's how we also do it. You alluded to our course. Like that's how our course is laid out too. It's very, very targeted. Like our videos are all really short, 5-10 minute videos, and there's more of them, but that's because our focus was always to stay on topic and be as concise as possible. But in terms of our course, like our course is, it's just, honestly, it's just a reflection of our business. Like it is our business laid out in a very logical format so that people can build their own version of our model, or
Mm-hmm.
And the people that go through our course, like they have different strengths or specialties than us. Inherently, they're just different people, right? And that's the beauty of this model. I think is our model is very, very adaptable to not only the strengths of the people using it, but it's very adaptable to the resources that people have, right? Like, I feel like you can incorporate, I feel like our course covers very well somebody that's starting with a $2,000 budget, and it extends up to experienced sellers who are already doing millions of dollars in sales. Like we've literally had students from all facets. Like we've had students who had never sold a product on Amazon. But that's the thing, is our course is complete. Like it's one of those things where we lay out every step of the way what we do and our methodology. And that's just something that people, and why was it like that? We started thinking about it, is a lot of our course was originally shot, and we've updated the videos to make them a bit nicer, but originally, a lot of that material was just shot as training videos for our employees. And we recently brought on a couple new employees, and that's the first thing we have them do. All of our new employees, they watch our course, and then they write summaries, and we ask them questions based on that, and that's to gauge their understanding and interest levels in the different subjects, in our business.
Yep, that's awesome. That's the same thing that we do when we bring on new writers. We send them through video courses that we created and that we sell, because it's truthfully the exact same thing that we use in our own business. And you're doing that too with the wholesale formula. It's everything that you're doing all laid out in easy to understand bits and pieces. And then there's a Facebook group that goes along with the course. I know this because I am a member of the Facebook group and have done a lot of interacting with you guys in there and answering questions about product listings and things of that nature too. So it's very active. You personally, Dylan is in there. You've got the whole gang. It's not just, people. Sometimes you get into these groups and it's like, well, I set up the group and you guys have fun. See ya. And the person whose course you bought never steps foot in the Facebook group, but you guys, Eric and you and Dylan are all in there all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, well, and to be perfectly honest, I mean, while it was, that's been like the biggest surprise for our course, right? Was the community aspect, and how awesome the people are that are in it. We have so many awesome students and that contribute and help us. Like a lot of the time we're in there, a lot of the time I'm in there looking for answers to questions for our own business. And then I see other stuff that people are other questions that I know, and am able to answer those. So I feel like our community is like the greatest symbiotic relationship ever. It's just, we're able to, we've derived so much value out of that community for our own business as well. And then it's just been a great place to meet and network people. Like we have so many amazing members.
That's cool. That's cool. Dan with Wholesale Formula, I thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy guy. Thanks for sitting down and chatting with me for a little bit. I appreciate the tips that you gave. Everybody, please go over and check out Dan's blog. You will love it. If you're interested in his course, I'll leave information about that down below. Also, I hope you have an awesome day and that you just keep knocking out those goals right and left. Keep growing.
You too, Miss Karon. You guys are killing it too.
Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye. Before you go, subscribe to the Marketing Words channel by clicking the button, and check out the Marketing Words blog for more clever ways to convert better, sell more, and build a better business.